Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. All right, I know you're going to love this one. This is an incredibly immersive experience. We all gravitate to those. So one of the things that Universal did when they set up the press junket was to take all of us on a James Bond boat tour. Yes, I mean, we could have done a walking tour, but no, we wanted to go down the Thames and basically see Bond moments through the eyes of people that really know it better than anybody else. And so I had the pleasure of spending time with Allie James. Who is Allie James? Well, Allie James is the locations manager, director that worked on Spectre. So Allie has unbelievable stories of the filming of Spectre, of the filming of other moments in great film history that she's been a part of. And she's just a delightful person. I mean, imagine, if you will, they brought us to this embankment and plied us with coffee and treats and champagne. And then we were ushered onto these absolutely beautiful boats and given more champagne. See where this is going? So what you're about to see is something that isn't highly polished. Basically, I said to Allie, I just met her. Would you mind if I just put a little Rode mic on you and mic'd this entire thing, this tour that you're about to give us? So you'll see kind of what I was seeing, little snippets. It's not always pretty. I'm jumping around. The boat is shaking. There's champagne spilling. But I know you like these immersive moments. This is one of them, and I'll see you on the back end.
Thank you so much.
And then I decided I want to make people started the territory, and it works.
Safe up here. Leaning, danger, but anyway, it's good. Well, you certainly picked a good morning for it. Anyway. Oh, nice. Oh, very nice. I think they did. There was a really big MOD tie-up. I didn't work on No Time to Die, so I'm not entirely sure, but I know they obviously engaged with the Air Force and the Navy and the Army for No Time to Die.
So was it Spectre and Spectre, or which bonds did you work on?
I just worked on Spectre. So yeah.
Which actually has a lot happening.
After MI6 has been blown up in Skyfall, and I had to try and find it. You'll see occasionally there's like little gates or there's little holes or something. And I got back to the studio and we built this kind of like a sort of a panoramic of just gluing pictures together. And it took ages, but it was really fun. I just came on a boat and just took thousands of photographs of all of, the whole length of the river. And then we ended up doing the entrance in a place called Dog Basin, which is in Camden. And it's just, we just cheated it. So I think it looks as though they turn here, but in the magic of the movies, it gets sort of, they're in Camden. So. Yeah.
The chase down in the end, Spectre's
yeah, no, that was quite a feat. I'll sort of chat about that in a minute, but it's definitely no, it's good though. It's definitely a big payoff with all the Bond films. But you're going to get a lot of behind the scenes intel.
That's what we want. Yeah.
But I remember we were shooting on a corner just behind Parliament Square. We were the second unit. And it was a shot of a car, I think it was racing somewhere. I think it was before Bond got thrown in the back of a vehicle. And we were the second unit, and we were shooting on a corner, and the main unit was doing the scene where they arrive at the safe house. And so we had 2 road closures in place, one for the second unit and one for the main unit. The main unit is always more important than the second unit because they've got, the big actors. But my road closure was a little bit stricter, and I got a radio from the girl who was in charge of the location. She was like, "Anna, you have to take your road closure off because it's getting in the way of our filming." And we were like, "Yes, but it really suits us." It was like, "It doesn't matter." So we had to sort of shrink ours down and be like, "Sorry guys, we don't have as much room to play anymore." But it was definitely in the pecking order. So yeah. but it was fun. No, sorry, it's the next one with the flag on it. That's MI5. So that is obviously our domestic security business. So, and there obviously you can see across the river to MI6 and the river house. But we got to go in there as well as one of our not recce's. We had to go and have a meeting in there on Spectre. That was pretty fun. You kind of feel like you're definitely going somewhere privileged and quite cool when that happens. So, but these are the things I was photographing. Can you see all these little like sluice gates and everything? That was what we were sort of. Sorry, this building here is MI5, and that's the building. There's where the ledges are. So for the windows, there's like perspex, so nothing can ever be left. You know, you can't leave anything on the window ledges for like for security reasons. But anyway, so I've only ever been in the entrance, but it was still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. With the boat coming down the Thames, started about just up here outside MI6, and obviously it was a night, and you've got to make sure you can be seen because there's no point having a sequence in the dark, and the lights in the buildings show off a certain amount of light, but it only gets to it doesn't quite hit the middle, and we wanted the boat to run down the middle. So from up here, I think these buildings here, both sides, all the way down to Westminster, we had lights and we had electricians on every building, and it was an absolutely monumental job to sort of put people up on the top of every building with lamps that would then light the river. And we lit underneath Westminster Bridge as well, so we sort of just to kind of try and do what we could to sort of illuminate it, which it worked and it looked great, but it was and I think we had 100 or so PAs and marshals locking off the bridges and locking off the roads, and it was quite a feat of organisation. I think any electrician or sort of film spark that wasn't employed that night was sort of pressed into action. It was like a kind of reunion of electricians. You'd come to work and they were like, all right, it's nice to see you, and giving everybody a big hug. So
MI6 is like partially destroyed.
it was, yeah. So here we go, MI6, the river house and things.
Not cooperating.
We'll be all right when we come back the other way, maybe sort of.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry? I mean, I drove through, all the way up here.
Which one's yours?
All the way up through Vauxhall is insane, though, how much building has gone on, isn't it? So it's just
Imagine real estate here is kind of expensive.
a little bit. But I only know this because I looked it up, so I can't confess. Which was the first film that this MI6 building featured in? Which Bond movie? No. It was GoldenEye. So this was, so the first. This is MI6 here. Here we go. Let's move out of the way. Let's go this way.
Repaired it since it was blown up.
Yeah, several times I think. So yeah.
Wow.
There we are. It's looking a little bit, leaves a little bit of a clean, doesn't it?
Believe it or not, you get really close to it, and on the bridge.
Love the green windows.
Over this bridge right there.
Yeah.
Get a nice shot of it.
Excellent.
I've never been able to figure out the entrance. There's all sorts of rumours that go around. There's like an entrance in Westminster Tube Station. There's an entrance.
From what I heard.
Yeah, several of them, I think. They build a new one each year, but they obviously. Does anyone else want to blanket? There you go.
Oh yes, please. You read my mind. Thank you.
It'd be rude to say no, wouldn't it?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done.
So you've never been at the opening MI6?
No, but Emma, who was the supervising location manager on Spectre, she got to go there. They did a private screening to the I think she went with I think Barbara on there, and it was on there obviously at Pinewood, so it was pretty fun. And I always like, because they do it a lot in the films as well, there was like a wall of remembrance, and nearly all the names on the wall of remembrance are crew names. So you can go in and find your sort of, I didn't make the cut on that one, but that's okay. I don't mind. I've made some other ones. It's okay. But no, it's quite funny to sort of read it through. And I think there's in the start of, I think, Skyfall, when they're looking for the terrorists and there's lots of faces come up. Those are all like the PAs and the production team and the names of the guys that come up.
Accurate were the MI6 sets for the interiors.
This gentleman was just asking that. You know what? I think there's a heavy amount of artistic license that gets used. Like they'll try and sort of match the windows, so there's a bit of a feel, but
Fort Knox.
yeah.
You don't know what the inside looks
Small
like.
percentage of people are going to know if it's an
Exactly.
It's about, does it feel like pure Motley?
and there's the designer, you know, so Dennis, who designed Spectre and Skyfall and Quantum. You know, he has his style that, you know, and they've got the characters because, you know, Em always has a slightly different house that she's in or whatever. So, you know, they move house a lot.
It's Craig's movies. MI6 has so many different locations,
Yes.
like bases.
We're all standing in there and it's like, yeah, this isn't this isn't going to work. I mean, it was really cool to go and have a look at it, but it wasn't ever going to be the right one to look at. So anyway, on that one. But they will move out. The government's going to move out of here for a few years, isn't it? I think at some point. I think the government will move out because this whole building needs refurbishing on the inside. So I think they're making it. So maybe it'll be a film location. I mean,
Nice if it's good.
I was going to say go completely and never come back. I think that would be a winning.
It's supposed to do up Downing Street, but every new Prime Minister puts it off.
Oh, is it?
To do their own time in Downing Street.
It's just, it is a bit. It
So
is.
I have a kind of a layman's question, but as a location manager, when you call somebody within the government, powers that be, and say, right, we want to film here in town, it's a Bond film, does everybody say, yeah, whatever you want? Or there are still a lot of restrictions?
No, there's still the same, a lot of restrictions, and there's no question that there's, they're open to it. And I mean, London is so filmed in at the moment anyway. I think when we were shooting on, I think we were doing a scene on Spectre, or it could have even been Skyfall. I know this story that they were filming, what's the Gerard Butler movie where he plays the Olympus Has Fallen, or
Yes.
one of those ones.
Olympus Fallen.
And they were shooting Olympus Has Fallen in another location in London, but the unit driver brought him to our set. So Gerard Butler turns up on the set of a Bond film, and like the window comes down and it's like the wrong first AD, and everyone's like looking at each other being like, and I once, years ago on one of the early Chris Nolan Batman movies, our director of photography ended up on the Batman set going, I don't remember scouting this. So
This is just a scene in London Is Fallen where Daniel Craig is playing Gerard Butler's role, vice versa. And it's like, we don't have the time to reshoot.
yeah, we'll do. No one will notice for a bit. It'll be a switch. So
How are we doing up front, guys? You okay?
you all right?
That's good. Well, do you
want
remember
to top up?
Die Another Day? Do you remember Piers went in
Would
there?
you like to top
That's
up?
right. Yeah.
When that film came out, I went there.
On the end of Skyfall,
Yes.
it's just behind these buildings here.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Skyfall rooftop.
yeah, behind there.
Is that where he gets the bulldog from?
That's exactly right, and you have the backdrop is the MOD building, and it's all sort of nicely spaced out. So it's worth a walk. One Whitehall, which is this building, is the building that Bond stands on at the end of Skyfall with the dog, and that was the Department of Energy. And I don't know if it's that building or one of them, but we sell off a lot of buildings over there. So one of them's going to be a Raffles, I do know that. So, but just to give you an idea of scale, when we did the river sequence on Spectre, we locked off and controlled down to this bridge. So from Vauxhall down to here. So that's a fairly chunky section of river to have control on. So.
Been able to do the scene in the daytime with that sort of restrictions. So when you was at night, you were able to
Do you know what I think? Do you remember 28 Days Later when they did?
Yes.
So I think you'd have had to have done it something like that. You'd have had
like an hour.
you'd have had maybe a bit longer, but you'd have had like a 1 a.m. call. You'd have been rehearsing from 2, and you'd have turned over a few times between like dawn and sort of 10 in the morning on a Sunday or something.
So
And
do you have to tell the public like days in advance, like this area is going to be?
yes, I mean, you sort of obviously you do huge. This is the sort of the boring part of the job. You do a lot of legwork and consultations and all of that, that carries on. So that all happens. And then in behind here, so this is Waterloo Bridge, and in No Time to Die, they shot on Rupel Street, which is a little collection of really lovely period houses behind Waterloo, and that was where Q's house is. But I was talking to a friend last night who worked on No Time to Die, and they shot down there. And as so often happens in a movie, stuff gets cut. So the only exterior shot you see of Rupel Street is through the security. So he was like, "We had so much work," and it was like, but
So the people that live there at that place have become celebrities, and they're huge Bond fans. And any fan that comes by, they actually invite them to take pictures.
Oh, really?
Like that. They're loving the attention.
Excellent. We'll remember that because it's a really popular street to film on.
I always do wonder when you see like all the those CEOs.
That's like in Spectre when they filmed in Rome and there's nobody on
I
the
know.
streets. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm calling bullshit here.
Every car that's
That's
appearing in a
nuts.
scene like that is like planned to them.
Yeah.
Out, and it's just such a. I guess every single car you add is so many logistics. So
And also in Rome as well, because of the speed that goes out, the safety is such a huge thing. So I think they had something like, I'm talking about our river lock-off, and the boys who did Rome weren't on here because I think they had 300 people. So every doorway, every doorstep, you name it, there was somebody in each doorway so that nobody would walk out. And they had these light battens so that basically everyone's put out their sticks, and when the road is locked off, it was dark and there were no lights. And if there was something that was compromised, they could put out the light and you could like call it, because it's so clever. And I've been dying to do that system on one of the closures I've done since, and I've never been able to, and it really annoys me. I'm like, can I have the light battens? And they're like, no, Ali, you can't. So the Bond movie, he didn't do the last one, and he's very proud because he always says that every all the other franchises steal off the Bond at some point. So but this sort of rather brutalist building behind us, and under here there's a road that's Lower Thames Street, which is a big traffic road into the city, and then inside of that is a tunnel called Castle Baynard Tunnel, which I think would be one of the least glamorous Bond locations, but it's one that I looked after. And it was a scene in Spectre where he gets bundled into the back of a car, the security van, and for some reason the focus was soft and it kept going a bit wrong, and we had to go back and redo it 5 times. And I was down here, and I'd come back from Mexico having done the sequence there with another guy, and everyone else was doing the fun river stuff, and we got stuck in this tunnel for like 3 weeks, and every morning I'd have to ring up the council and be like, so we need to come back again tonight. And we'd sort of all trot back to the tunnel, and it would only take about 3 hours each evening to shoot this scene. Anyway, we got it in the end. So it's that sort of attention to detail that makes all the difference, doesn't it? A lot of consultation, and the key is you don't want we come into any area to film and it is a nuisance of people, but the best thing you can do is you make sure everyone's aware what's going to happen, and if people know and they're explained, and you can interfere with their day, because not everyone. I'm the same. If you can't park outside your apartment or you're in a traffic jam, it's really frustrating. But at least if you know that's what's going to happen, there's a sort of element of, okay, it's only 1 day or 2 days, and if you get to know, and so that's why my departments on these films are so big now, because we really have to put, and rightly so, an awful lot of effort into talking to people and making sure that they're all happy, and not everybody is. And sometimes you sort of, you're like, but on the whole, we get there, and Bond films are fun, and there's always a lot of, cool things that come out, when you're cool stuff to do, or the car rigs are fun, or something like that. So.
I have to pay you a compliment because of your work on Spectre and the Zocalo in Mexico City. My wife took me there a few years ago for my birthday. We stayed in the same hotel because of that scene.
Because that hotel is also used in License to Kill, isn't it? So yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, the same elevator.
I quite like the sort of the little tie in there. It's quite fun. So
I love when they go back, but it's this little Easter egg nod.
Yeah.
Love it.
No, it was good fun, that. So Tower of London and the London Tower Bridge. That's more iconic, isn't it, with the Olympics?
Yes.
With that, that was a great shot. It's worth it. I don't know whether you've gone back and rewatched that Olympic opening, but it's amazing, isn't it?
Foiled did incredible. And the Bond bit in that is also delightful.
But it's like, I remember watching it in a pub when the opening ceremony happened, here in London, and you think how great the summer of 2012 was, and then you're like, and now.
And it was all downhill.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, am I right in thinking when Daniel was announced as Bond, that happened here on HMS Belfast? It was somewhere here, wasn't it? So
Right across.
I think that's where he was, and
that went over well.
yeah, it didn't. But this was all built. This was all new, and then this was the head of Nine Eyes in Spectre. So we filmed in City Hall, which is this.
You moved it up the river, right?
We did, yeah, exactly. See, we don't care about geography, so.
Yes, yeah, I love this.
It's great. I went just after COVID and there was no queue for the crown jewels.
Oh.
It was like, that was crazy.
See, other than a Bond movie, one of my proudest moments is I had Miss Piggy singing a power ballad on the battlements of the Tower of London for Muppets Most Wanted.
That's great.
And we rebuilt the top of the tower for that as well for Muppets, which was it was really fun. And an American lady got very cross that she couldn't get. No, it was an Australian lady. It was very love. Yeah.
Don't tempt me.
Sorry?
Don't tempt me.
No, not at this time of year.
Yeah.
No.
Don't fancy it.
Well, we're in Sonic now, you get free.
There we go. That's a mean-looking helicopter, that as well, isn't it?
It's aggressive.
Yeah. That's when I sit there and go, that's an Apache, no, sort of a Puma. I thought we'd go to Greenwich. Yeah.
We're going to go past my flat.
Oh, there we go. Where do you live?
I'm going to call my housemate to give us a wave.
Yeah, give it a wave out. There we go. Very smart helicopter.
Oh, that's a good
It
helicopter.
is a good helicopter.
Another question about Spectre.
Of course.
So I know the bridge scene at the end of the movie set where they rebuilt the
They
bridge.
did.
Was any of it filmed actually on the bridge itself?
No, we didn't do any filming on the bridge at all. It was all a build, that, so
So they
yeah.
had to go and get specs and get measurements.
Measured it, and I think we got, and I might know this wrong, but I seem to remember there was some refurb going on at the time. I was saying, and I think we got some of the street furniture from Westminster, and we were able to use it.
That's insane.
And I think we then might have reused it on Mary Poppins.
Really?
I think so. You know, we're all about sustainability these days and not
Yes.
throwing things away, so it's nice to be able to sort of, you know, take things out again.
Very
So
responsible.
very responsible filmmaking, exactly. Sort of visual effects mashup, but they used, I think, one Canada Tower, which is coming up in a minute, and then I think they did lots of visual effects plates from a helicopter around the city to sort of build the sort of environment.
That's right. That's where they show also the explosion.
Exactly. And I don't know that we can see if we can spot it. Broadgate Tower. Oh, which is your flat?
Sorry?
Who do we have to wave?
Yeah, my housemate's going
Oh, tell him we'll all wave.
coming up here. Yeah.
On the left.
There's my friend there, still wants to wave.
Oh, we'll wave at him. Hello,
Tell us when.
Okay.
the river dwellers.
Give the little thing a set.
You guys should be doing the tour. You probably know more about the river than I do.
I don't know if I can recognise it from the river though.
Stop it. The express way as well then. If you have a river flat.
I'll have to rent it.
Still. That's gonna be a nice commute and short, right?
Yeah, only just moved recently.
This is Canary Wharf,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
which is your office.
My office is on the pyramid.
Oh, okay, so that's one.
Sort of posh.
That's one Canada Square, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
So I think that's the one they used for the abseiling in No Time to Die.
Really?
Yeah.
And when they're breaking in.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But they know me before they go and get, and I think they it wasn't totally true. It was a bit of a CG sort of mashup, but I do think they
Which
used
building?
it. Number one, so the one with the pyramid.
I know we passed it, but Rory and Daniel, when they were talking on the boat and they go into the new MI6 digs, did we pass that like little tunnel
Is that from?
from Spectre?
Spectre? No, because that tunnel is not on the river. It's in Camden. So so it was a bit of a cheat. So it's the
That was
river.
good that you guys did that.
That was a good one.
Very good
And
magic.
it was in a location which has got a great name. It's called Dead Dog Basin.
That is the best name.
It's good, isn't it? Like it just. I mean, clearly there was a dead dog there once, but more than that, who knows
Not
whether.
good for the dog, but
Not good for the dog, but the name lives on. So, in that scene, so I know they shot, and I'm sure Bond's been at the Naval College for many other movies, but yeah, sorry, yeah, but it is an amazing place. You can see it now. This is it coming up here, the Naval College. So it was the birthplace of Henry VIII.
Which one?
Naval College. Well, it wasn't the Naval College then; it was Greenwich Palace. But so, and then Christopher Wren built the buildings. And then down here you've got, is it Belmarsh Prison,
Oh, Belmarsh.
which is obviously where Blofeld is incarcerated in No Time to Die. So yeah,
Silence of the Lambs.
isn't well, you know, it's a homage every so often, isn't it?
Spectre.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
What do you call it?
Instead of a Hannibal Lecter.
Very good, very good. But no, it's I like coming to Greenwich. It's a nice area. If you ever come to London and haven't been to Greenwich, good restaurants, good markets, nice bit of history, wonderful hill, lot of history. Yeah, no, it's really nice. Where he got dropped down a chimney, is that right? Sorry, Fiore's Island. I do apologise. The wrong film.
Not Blofeld.
It was on Blofeld, but
They didn't have the rights to Spectre or associated things. That's why it's quantum in the.
there you go. There you go. You know more trivia anyway, but that was there, and I like. And then they did. I think Full Metal Jacket was shot there as well. And now it is the final development place for the new poo tunnel that's going under the Thames that's being built. So they're building this huge tunnel, which is we'll see some of the construction work. That's basically. See, I have all the facts here.
What? They're building a tunnel
Under the river, which will be between Acton and Beckton, and it will finish obviously. Yeah. So for all the sewage. See, you get everything on this tour: bond, facts, and sewage.
Okay, so now you get why I'm dressed up in the Spectre Solden outfit. I've got Spectre in the background. I wanted to create some surround sound that Allie James has created in being part of the location crew and those wonderful stories that she had. And was I wrong? She's so delightful. And as a treat, Meg Simmons was there, archivist for Eon, who has so many stories. She was on another boat to talk to people, and she talked to us afterwards. And she's just a sweetheart. It's always such a pleasure to see her, whether it's Solden or London, it doesn't matter, Spyscape. She's everywhere. She's everywhere that Bond is. So we were so happy to see her again, and I'm happy that you could experience this. Again, thanks to Universal. This was all around their celebration of the Blu-ray coming out in its debut. But I got to get back to things. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.